Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Greenfork Food for Thought podcast. I'm Stephen Zabala. This is Whelden Graziano. He's a friend of mine. Known him for a while. I met him through his sister, who owns Battleground Fitness, which I've been coaching at for 5 years now, long time. So it's been about that long. We've had some really good conversations, him and I, about just stuff that guys go through. And it being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, November, I wanted to have him on just so we could talk about issues that we're facing and that probably other guys are facing or have been through. So we're just going to kind of talk about that stuff and dig into that kind of stuff and get a little vulnerable here. I think this might be one of the most vulnerable times in my life to date. I've been through a lot of crazy shit in my life, and I've been through, stuff that probably should have took me down, but it didn't. But for some reason, this last bout of challenges and depression and stuff, like, just was particularly hard. It was really hard, and I'm just coming out of it now. Last week was pretty rough. It was like the roughest week that I've had in a while. And, I'm coming through it on the other end, but
I guess kind of really before we get into it, first of all, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, we'd work out, we'd hit a workout, you'd be coaching, and then I'd stay after. We just have these talks, right? And we kind of built this little bit of trust between each other where we could share some thoughts and bounce different ideas and things we're doing to grow and get better right off each other. So, and I think recently you and I have kind of touched base again. We kind of knew each other, was going through some things, and had some talks recently. And I think we kind of ended up here. Is let's sit down and have a conversation about it and maybe help someone else who might be going through some similar things. So
it's tough out there, and especially for men. I mean, I can only view from the men's point of view, but it's really tough out there. And I recently put a post up on Facebook trying to get a men's group together, and you were one of the people that reached out to me and said you wanted to get involved, and I would love to have like a roundtable discussion, like a podcast, but we are trying to do that. I've got a handful of other guys that want to get involved, and if you're a guy out there and you're listening, you want to get involved, just reach out to me. We are going to set it up. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. I went to my buddy Craig Nelson, his house. He hosted one, and we just talked about kind of same stuff that we usually talk about, just kind of what it's like to be a guy and the problems we're facing and how to get through it and all kinds of stuff. I just feel like being a guy is a lot tougher now because gender roles are shifting, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, where are we at now?
Yeah, I think one of the things I was thinking about yesterday when you and I were kind of talking about doing this is the attack on masculinity, right? It's not really talked about how, men aren't, it's not popular to be a big, strong man anymore. It's not promoted. So, I think people, pull back from that a little bit and men need a tribe, right? And that's kind of what you and I have talked about, trying to get together of like-minded guys who need to talk about things. And
it's not all about being a big, strong, tough guy. Like that's a facade. That's fake. Exactly. We're just human beings, and we have feelings, we have emotions, and just because we're taught to look and act and perform a certain way doesn't mean that that's who we are. So there's book, Lewis Howes, The Mask of Masculinity. And it's about how like men kind of hide behind certain masks or personas that they put out there in the world. And it's a really good book, but he had to go through his thing to just be his authentic, genuine self, which is just really hard to be in general, man or woman. But what I think that attack on masculinity, it comes from like ultra feminism, right? Like I'm a feminist. I think women should have equal rights and they should be able to do whatever they want, and all that stuff. I'm not putting women down at all, but when you get a little radical with that, you start looking at men and attacking masculinity. when really you're attacking extreme masculinity or fake or toxic masculinity, right? Where these like alpha guys are just assholes, right? There's bad apples everywhere in every organization, in every profession, and everything that you see. There's bad apples and there's good apples. So I feel like, yeah, maybe we should talk about that, but don't attack every guy because we're not all assholes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think there's a way to, lead and be strong and be yourself and have, that aurora about you of, that guy's taking the reins on his life and he's doing the things he needs to as a man, right?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a fine line there of how you do that. And I think men struggle with it.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not just burying everything and,
right.
Like, I mean, pretending it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Sweep it under the rug. It's not that.
I mean, I think a lot of the times men think they have to hold the weight, right? And they can't let it out, or they can't even sit down and have a conversation like this, of what the weight they're feeling and carrying. So,
especially if you're single or don't have a partner that respects you and will hold space for you and let you kind of be vulnerable. Like, if you don't have that, it's really lonely out there to be a guy and not have anybody to just talk to about shit that's going on. So it's really important. Really, really important. We were kind of talking before we got on air, just about stuff that we had been going through. And, even now I just feel better just doing that,
Just getting it out. I think sometimes you just need to hear yourself say it out loud. That's kind of what I've noticed the last couple of weeks, We've both kind of been going through some stuff and just calling up buddies, leaning on your circle and just saying it out loud. It helps. It makes you feel better. So
yeah,
do you think men are afraid to do that? Or don't know how to do that?
I think so. I think a lot of men are. I'm certainly not.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll say it out. Like, I went to a party, Halloween party. It was really fun, but like the whole time I was just in the shit. I was down and depressed, and I told some of my friends about it, and they like rallied around me and like wouldn't let me be alone. Like they hung with me and reached out the next day and the following week just to see if I was okay and checking on me and stuff. And I felt really good. So I think it's a misconception that you have to hold it in.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can tell your buddies about it, and if they are good friends, then they will be there for you.
Right. You're gonna find out who's in your corner, and it's amazing, like how good that feels, right?
Yeah. And even people that like you don't really know. Like, when I put out the message for that men's group, there was a bunch of guys that like I'm not close friends with, but they were like, "Hell yeah, dude! Like, I'll hear you out."
Yeah.
So like, it doesn't have to be your closest friend. It could be anybody that's willing to listen, and I think that more people are willing to listen than you think.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's men like crave that, right? That tribe, that pack of wolves. Don't be the lone wolf kind of thing. It sounds cliche, but
it's true.
There's something in our being that just needs that.
Yeah.
And I think we get tied down with everything we should be doing, or family stuff, or like we can get into some of that, but like all the things we think we should be doing. And it gets overwhelming, I guess, for lack of better terms.
Yeah. Very much so.
I think all men that want to improve themselves, want to improve their lives, there's social media and all these videos on how to do that.
Yeah.
But once you get in the trenches and you start doing it, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
It's you're trying to do so much in a day, and you feel like you can't fit it all in a day.
Yeah.
It's like I just tell myself like be 1% better.
Yeah.
Every day, like things like that.
That's good. Yeah. And if you just do one thing for yourself every day, like that will make things better. I was telling you before about this past summer for me was particularly rough because I was in danger of losing my business. My son was depressed and I didn't know what to do, and I was scrambling to try to help him. My relationship was falling apart. So I'm trying to deal with all these things, and I feel like I'm doing everything I can just to stay afloat, and it's barely staying afloat. And so because I'm focusing on all these other things, my business is suffering. So I think and I talked to somebody here, a guy. I was like, what do you do when things are just really overwhelming? Because that's what it was. It's just so overwhelming that I could not think of the big picture. I could just think about getting through the day, no time to do anything for myself. And he said, just focus on what matters. Focus on what's important. Your family, your children, your business, whatever it is, your tribe, your community, lean on them. But just dial it down, trim the fat, because things can get really, really overwhelming. What you think is important really isn't that important at that time. What is important is your health, your mental health. Like, just dial it down and distill it down. And that helped me. That helped. Yeah. But it got really, really overwhelming for me. And it was really tough. And it came to a head a couple of times. And I thought it was getting better. And then the relationship ultimately failed and ended and just crashed out again. And now here I am trying to come out the other end of that. But, I've made some small improvements. Things are looking better. I have a few different coping skills that I lean on. And I'm curious to hear what yours are. But mine have always been yoga, exercise, meditation, and to a lesser degree, community, because even though I just said that, like, you can reach out and anybody will talk to you about it, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But I'm getting to that point. But anyways, those are my coping skills. And getting back to that, like, sort of self-care of, like, what helps you to tune out the voices, which that's what it was for me. I was very overwhelmed, and I had repeating loops in my head saying, you're a failure, you're not good enough, you can't do this, it just negative loops in my head. And so those coping skills are the things that help me to just clear out those voices for a minute, and they might come back after, but at least for the moment, you're not in your head, spiraling downward.
I think that's the hardest part, right? Is that negative loop in your head. It's amazing the power of the mind.
Yeah.
When you're good.
Yep.
And it's also amazing the power of the mind when things are bad, right?
Yeah.
And we've all had hard times in our lives recently. Yep. We've been going through some stuff, and I think you just start trying new things, and like you said, like I've kind of held things in the past, and recently I've been just throwing myself out there and reaching out to people. It's like, hey, you just want to talk for a minute, like just calling people I don't usually call, but you're kind of close with, and family, and it's amazing the weight that's lifted when you do that. But I'm kind of along the same lines of just getting back into the grind of, you got to put yourself first. You got to love yourself. You got to invest in yourself. Of whether it's fitness or finding classes or things you like to do, like you said, yoga, or there's all these things that successful people do, and I think that's what anyone that wants to improve themselves, they study that, and they try to learn from that. There's journaling and meditation and running, and running's kind of my out. Yeah. Because I got to just go for a run, clear my head. There's all these studies how exercise and movement is just like a natural antidepressant, right? The dopamine hits you get afterwards, they kind of silence those negative thoughts in your head, if you will.
For the time being.
Even if it's just for a little while. Yeah. So that's what I try to lean on is that. And looking back on this kind of summer, like you said, is I think I fell out of that.
Yeah. But you were forced out of it.
Yeah.
You had an illness.
I've had some health issues.
Yeah.
Kind of the job's been a lot, working a lot. Had a relationship kind of end here pretty suddenly that I've been going through. So
yeah,
it's kind of been one of those years of looking back and reflecting. Is you think you got to make some changes in your life, or it's amazing kind of the thought process you go through. So
yeah. how much can you really change? You know, I feel like a lot of the change has to happen up here.
Yeah, that's where it starts, right?
Yeah, because so I was watching this thing actually. Jordan Peterson was talking about anxiety and depression, and he was talking about depression and from a like a therapist point of view. There's two types. Where either it's like biological or biophysiological, or you just have a shitty life. You know, like people that are dead broke, can barely hold it together, maybe have a mental whatever it is, can't keep a job, have no friends or family, you know, their life sucks.
Yeah, it's a tough life.
It's a tough life, and you can totally understand why that person would be depressed. But for people like you and I, we have family, we've got decent jobs, we've got a good community, we're able to have relationships. They might not always work out, but we're able to have them. We've got social skills. We have the tools and the skills. So what is it that makes us depressed? And I feel like I wouldn't label myself as a depressed person. But it definitely comes in waves.
Yeah,
like
there's hard times in life, right?
It's hard times, yeah. And it's how you respond to that. And, you know, I feel like it's okay to, if you're going through a hard time, to have the blues for a little bit and kind of lean into that. But you can't be destructive about it, which is where I falter.
That's well said. I think you got to sit in it, and accept it, because something I've really sat in recently is, you know, some of it's my fault too.
Sure.
You can't blame other people. Like, you made your own choices.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe we blame ourselves too much. Maybe we're too hard on ourselves.
Definitely am.
We're almost, you know, you almost can't live with the fact that, like, you made those choices.
Yeah.
But you got to give yourself some grace too, right?
Sure.
We're all human.
Yep.
We make mistakes. Even, you know, even when you're trying hard to make the right decisions, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not always.
Yeah, it's
the case.
It's not easy. And usually when you're in those hard places, your nervous system is all out of whack, right? Your regular flow is, you're just not operating at your highest level or your highest self. So you're not able to see the forest through the trees and come up with a good plan and make a good decision. So you make the best one that you can think of, which might not be, it is not going to be the best. It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, yeah, you wish you could go back and be like, oh man, why didn't I see that the answer was right there? All I had to do was this, and I could have saved that relationship, or I could have saved, you know, that situation that I was in. The only thing you could do is, if you ever get in that situation again, try to remember, you know, that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. It's like, every situation's a learning experience, right? If you're going to fail forward. That's what I try to teach myself is, you know, every day is an opportunity. I had an old lacrosse coach that always said that. And he actually recently passed. And so it's kind of been on my mind how he instilled that in us back then. And, you know, every day is an opportunity. Every situation's an opportunity, good or bad, right? Like, we can learn from it, grow from it. Yeah. I think that's something to take away too from tough situations in life. Yeah. Yeah, similar to that, I lost my grandfather. He was 102, and you know, he never really gave me. We never like had heart-to-heart conversations or anything like that. But he exemplified things. He like acted in a way where you could just see he was a man of his values. And that helps me when I look back on the way he lived his life, which he was an incredibly patient man, compassionate, understanding, and very involved in his community and with his family, a true patriarch, and in the good sense, not the not the way that the feminists attack the patriarchy or whatever. But no, he was a great guy, and I look to him for inspiration, right? And that's another skill that you can use if you're going through hard times. Is like, okay, what would my grandpa do? What would my dad do? Or what would my, you know, pick anybody that's been in your life, a coach, a friend, I think that's what we're all striving for, right? Is to be that type of man.
Yeah.
Is with that strong presence of, like, you just can just feel it from them, right?
Yeah.
There's this book I read. It's called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge, and he kind of starts it off with it's for men. It's a book for men of, you know, what our being like craves and
Mm-hmm.
how we're built. And he says that every man's biggest fear is being like found out that they're a fraud and they can't make it,
Yeah.
and being like called out on it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there's times where we may like overthink those situations and feel like we're being exposed, but we're just getting in our own heads, and it may not be that way.
Yeah. I think that goes along with being true to yourself. And I think every man is different, right? So you may look to your role model and say, I want to be like that. But you're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
You're not that guy. You're really not. You're your own person with your own values. And so the only way to be a fraud would be to not be yourself, right? And your highest self, your truest self. So if you're lying and cheating and stealing, you're not your highest self. And if you get found out for that, yeah, you got found out. But honesty is always the best policy. I've adopted that. And if you can own your mistakes and be forthright about what you want and all that, and just stay true in your values, there's nothing to be found out. There's no fraudulent behavior, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's striving towards that. Some people say it's to be Christ-like, you know, to be the highest version of yourself that you can be.
Well, that's kind of where I was going to take that, is I'm a pretty faithful spiritual guy, right?
Yeah.
And I, like you said, role model, that's kind of my role model and how I try to live my life, right?
Sure.
He's the ultimate father being, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone, you know, don't need to get all spiritual or religious here, but
You can. You can.
That's what I dive into.
Yeah.
And try to get my strength from. And it's amazing how much it helps me.
Yeah.
Because there is a walk of life that, you know, will lead you to that point, like,
Sure,
of where you want to be. That's pretty well laid out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just,
Being a
it's hard
good
to
person.
follow.
Yeah. I think you have being a good person down pretty well.
Me?
Yeah.
You think so? Well,
Yeah. I
appreciate that.
think you're kind. I think you're friendly. I think you're strong. I think you have that, you know, and I think I have that too, outwardly. But when we're home alone at night and the
There it
voices
is.
start,
There it
it's
is.
like, you know, we're harder on ourselves than
Yeah.
we are when we're out in person. I'm a coach, right? Like, I help people to get better. So I'm always telling them advice on how you can be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always take my own advice.
Isn't it funny how hard that is?
Yeah.
I find it hard too. Like, I feel like I can help a buddy in a situation.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to me, it's like, gosh, why can't I just listen to myself
Yeah.
in those situations?
Yeah. And I think we were saying before off air, like, you know, we know all the things to do,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's really hard to do them all. There's not enough time in the day, man. I wish.
There's not. And see, I kind of like where this is going. I wanted to get into this.
Yeah.
I think everyone flips the switch at some point in their lives,
Yeah.
right? We all grow up with our past, wherever we've been, wherever we come from. There comes a day where you're like, something's not right. Something's missing. We all have those days. I remember mine like yesterday.
Yeah.
I looked myself in the mirror and was like, something's got to change, you know?
Yeah.
Started reading books, started listening to podcasts, like, what makes someone successful? Or like, and that was always my favorite question to ask for a long time. What is success? Because everyone's got their own definition, right?
Yeah. Success.
And then as I learned and grew, it became, wait, it's not about success. What is happiness? What's your definition of happiness? Like, let's switch the script a little bit. So anyways, going back to kind of my journey is, you start growing and learning all these things and following people that, you know, you're looking up to and want to strive to be like, and you're kind of studying their ways. Like, I dug deep into books and Started working out, found a love for running. Believe me, I hated running for the longest time.
Yeah.
Worked up to a marathon last year, you know, so
Nice.
and it's all these little things that you just want to do to make yourself better. Like you were talking, like meditating and journaling and getting into a morning routine. And they say get sunlight and clean up your diet. And, you know, people just want to help themselves and strive to be better. But then there's a list of, 12 things that you want to do in a day to get better. And it's like, I think people get overwhelmed with it, like we were saying, and they struggle to do one of them. So that's what I try to do is like just.
And then that's another reason to beat yourself up.
Yeah, and then
you didn't get a workout
and then you're
today.
hard on yourself. Yeah. So then the negative creeps in, and that's where like some of those guys, like, you know, I've read like Goggins' book and Cam Hanes' book, all these guys that literally do it every day, and they're on a different level, right? But it's that mindset that you kind of like you were saying, you got to get your mind right first. I think that's where it starts. Is
see, I take a different approach. I respect guys like David Goggins and the messages they're putting out there. I get what they're saying, and it is helpful. It's useful. But I don't think you need to go balls to the wall every day and beat yourself up if you don't get it. Call yourself a pussy, you know. It's like, no, if I need to rest, I'm going to rest. I've been deep into like restoration lately, you know. If I'm feeling low, depressed, I can barely get off the couch, I'm not going to force myself to go do a super hard workout, but I will go for a walk. I will take some yoga. I will just take some time to maybe stretch out on the floor, treat my body well, you know, and that's good enough for the day. And so I think it's like, you know, like we're so hard on ourselves. We need to give ourselves some grace, like you said before, and just say, okay, this is where I'm at today. I'm going to do the best I can. If I don't get my whole to-do list done, it's okay. You know, we'll pick back up again tomorrow and we'll strive for that. But every day is different. And, you know, think like I've done 75 hard.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, we've done it. We've both done it, right? And it's really intense.
It is, It's hard.
And I learned about myself the last time I did it, that it's too much. Like I'm not wired that way. I can't just be yang and go, go, go all the time. So I would take one of the workouts and make it a restorative workout. And that would help me recuperate and re-energize and be able to do all the other things. Because it's not just, you know, 2 workouts a day, drink a gallon of water, read stuff. You also have to work. You also have to maintain relationships. You have activities that you want to do or obligations outside of that. And
it's hard.
It's too much sometimes.
And it's like this year I've kind of had some conversations with some people and my last relationship, and we got talking about things, and it's like, you know, you gotta to let something in, you gotta let something go. There's only so much time in the day, right? So when you're adding these things you got to do, something's got to give on the back end. And whether those are negative things that you were doing before, or, you know, something that you just don't have, cutting people out that you just don't have time for every day, or, you know, certain days, there's only so much time in a day. And I think that's the hard part.
I just saw this term, addition by subtraction, right? So you're adding to your life, you're adding to yourself and your health by subtracting something that doesn't serve you, you know? And that's important to recognize. And it's important, like, for me, when I get to these places of like complete overwhelm and then crash out, what happens afterwards is a beautiful thing. I examine my life, I examine myself, and I reassess, and I trim the fat. I add by subtracting. That's kind of where I'm at right now, is I'm trying to see what can I just cut out of my life so that I can be there for myself. You know, I can show up for myself at least, you know, part of the day, whether it's like a morning walk or, you know, any one of those things that I want to do for myself. And that might mean, you know, not going to a workout class or something like it. No, I'm going to stay home and just take a nice hot shower and shave and get some comfy clothes and read a book, you know, like doing something like that instead of going out and challenging yourself. I think it's just as good, if not better, if that's what you need, you know. But I'll tell you one thing, drinking is not the answer.
Yeah, I think we should get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Vices.
Yeah, vices. So drinking's been a big one for me. I started drinking when I was like 15 or so, and I've had repeated bouts of, binge drinking to the point where it's cost me relationships, it's cost me jobs. Um, and I've been back and forth with it a bunch of times. I've been battling it, been good for a really long time, and being able to hold it together. But then I find that when I get really overwhelmed, that's my go-to.
Yeah.
Is to just, I can't take it anymore. And drinking helps me not think. And I'm the type of person that, like, my body and my personality and everything, like, I can operate when I drink. So alcohol's a good thing for me. It's like a good drug,
Yeah.
if you will. But you overdo it and you wake up the next day and you're can't do anything because you're hungover, and it's not a good thing, right? So it might help temporarily, but it doesn't help in the long run. And I recognize that, and I think over the past few years, I've noticed that when I go off the rails, I bounce back even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to
But
take it.
you still get back into it.
Yeah, I know. I gotta figure something out there. I don't know what it is, but
Maybe it's something to journal and reflect on.
yeah, I actually wrote in my journal today that, like, it's a 6-month goal.
Okay.
And so I think if I can do it for 6 months, I've got 2 other goals as well, but
Yep.
6-month goal. And if I could do it for that long, which I have done before, I'll be in good shape. And it's an open-ended goal. So I said at least 6 months, because I noticed that, like, when I do 75 hard, I'm good. And then on that 76th day, I reach for a beer.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, it's over. I can relax. But I feel so much better when I don't. And it makes it harder the next day. Like, there's withdrawal is a real thing. And, if it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
It's easier if you just say, no, I don't do that anymore. Like, it's easier. Um, but when you've recently done it, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I can go back to it. I don't really know if I'm making sense, but it's a hard struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing for me is that helped me in my story was kind of similar. I was a social drinker and did 75 hard and 7 days, 76 hits. And your buddy's like, hey, you want a beer?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't think I necessarily had a problem, but I knew it just didn't make me feel good the next day, right? And
Yeah.
so I've cut way back, and I'm to the point now where I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been a journey, right? It's, you socially drink here and there, weddings,
It's everywhere.
gatherings,
It's everywhere.
and you always see that thing on social media of, sobriety is like the one thing that people hear and think you had a problem.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, and
Yeah.
maybe a conversation for another time. But where I was kind of going with that is I took a step back and was like, alcohol, people say it's poison for your body, right? That's kind of out there. But to me, it was like, it's a natural, like, depressant.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. Yeah.
So why, if I'm down, why am I going to keep going down?
Yeah.
By adding with this.
Yeah.
And like, what I've struggled before is, like, you go out and have some beers with some buddies, and then you wake up and you feel down, and then you drink a bunch of coffee and caffeine and spike your anxiety levels because you're all anxious, and it's like this recipe for disaster.
Sure is.
Right. And
yeah.
I think people don't realize exactly why they're feeling that way, but it's like,
Yeah.
these things have effects on your body.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically. So when I really, like, got kind of the blinders on and focused on, okay, like, what isn't helping me in my life? I just started. It's just a long journey. Don't get me wrong, but I slowly start cutting it out. And I think vices are hard to cut out, but if someone's gonna start someplace with helping themselves, like, that's what I recommend.
Yeah.
Try to do 30, 40 days. Just something, like, don't do 75 hard. Like, just start with
Yeah,
something.
make it a smaller goal,
Yeah.
less overwhelming.
Yep.
Right. I think, a big part of why I would drink was, again, because things get really overwhelming and you just want to shut your brain off. And it does that for a little while and you feel good for a little while. And then once it starts to go down, you feel even worse. So you keep drinking to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a loop that's no good. And you end up at the end of it, you're down further than you were.
Yeah.
You have to dig yourself out of that hole. But, that's why anybody does anything really that takes them out of their headspace. But there are better ways to do it. And I know that. And I've, like I said, gotten into meditation and yoga and that. So here's the thing. So many voices in my head. And for the longest time, they really weren't there. Like I would get down on myself and feel things and be able to work through them and it would be okay. But recently, like this past summer and maybe a little before that, I think I've just been losing that ability to quiet the voices or at least not recognize them as much. Um, I'm able to give my feelings and thoughts their due, their time, but say, you're not driving the bus. You're not in charge here. Like you might feel sad, you might feel angry, you might feel lonely, you might feel whatever it is, but that's not all of you, right? But more recently in my life, like all these obligations and duties and things like that have just like been on loop in my head. And I haven't been able to shut them down so that they just get louder and louder and louder. And things like alcohol help shut them down.
Numb it. Yeah.
Yeah, they numb those voices, but they come back stronger. And it's been really hard. Even my coping mechanisms and skills that are healthy that I've had aren't really doing the trick like they used to. And so what I think I need to do is just actually lean into them a little bit more and make it a priority and give it time, because I know just like coming back from a couple weeks off of working out, like you're going to feel like it's but then you get back into it and you feel good again and the things start to work again, right? And you start to see growth in that area. I just have been so far out of it that I need to get back into it, give it a good solid shot and continue to work it and grow from there.
Yeah. It's all about like stacking wins, right?
Yeah.
Just keep.
Well, like today I
stacking
had a win. I went to a yoga class and it was great. And at the end, Savasana is when you lay there, just eyes closed, just laying down. And the goal of it is to not think, right? Which is really, really hard to do.
Quiet the mind.
It's one of the hardest poses in yoga for that reason. And I went into like, oh shit, what am I going to do? And some thoughts started popping up, but I was able to quiet them down and just lay there and focus on feeling my body and noticing sensations and colors when I had my eyes closed. And that was one of those wins, right? That was something for me where I was able to quiet those thoughts down and not give them any time. And, that lasted for maybe half an hour after class. And then I was back to like, thinking too much.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how it comes in waves.
Yeah, but I think once you keep going, like you keep knocking down and chipping away at it, like it'll get better. I have faith that it will. Yeah.
I think that's the key, just to have that strong faith of this is a chapter in your life where it's a lesson and you're learning, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about men's health in society, right?
Okay.
I think we touched on it a little bit before, but like, one of the books that I've read that really got me into men's mental health and exclusively is The Boy Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell.
Okay.
If you haven't read that, you should. It's not just for fathers, it's for men of any type. And it talks about like the gender roles shifting and feminism and how that's gotten popular, and it's kind of pushed us out of the more traditional roles, which is fine. It's a new day and age. We're not primary breadwinners anymore. We can't be in this economy. Like it's hard to just be, the man of the house and out working and support a wife and kids. It's more challenging. So women are working and it's pushing us out of some jobs, and that's all fine. But where do we go now? Like, where's our worth? Where's our value?
I think I've done a lot of reading on this.
Yeah.
As far as kind of that men and masculinity, femininity polarity in a relationship, in a marriage, in a family, in society, as we're talking about. And I think it comes down to the man still has to lead his family, and he can lead in multiple ways, right? It doesn't have to be making money. Although there's times where I've thought about it as, is making money like the new providing for your family? Like, I think that's the way it's seen, right? Like,
and that's a
like
tough battle.
The hunters used to go out and provide for their families way back. Like, we still have that in our.
Yeah. Well, we're protectors and providers. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
But I still think you can lead your family and still do that. Maybe if you're not the breadwinner, like like you were saying, you can still, be strong and masculine and, raise your kids the way that they should be raised. And I think that's where we're losing it a little bit. Men are succumbing to their vices or getting sucked into, there's so many distractions out there right now. It's hard to put your finger on it exactly, but there's so many different things that is pulling the men away from being present fathers is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm not a dad. I aspire to be one day, but
sure.
So like, I want to like learn the best way when that time comes of, how I can provide. And but I think society, I guess, where was that book going with it or what?
There was a lot of, it's a great book. You got to check it out. There's a lot of chapters on a lot of different stuff. One of the things with society is it just pushed us out of our roles. So now what do we do? And that's the thing is that, you don't have to be the breadwinner. You don't have to be the number one financial support system for your family, but you can, you're right. You can lead in other ways. Just teaching boys how to be boys and how to be men and have respect and, all those masculine qualities, right?
Or maybe not showing them how to be, but also letting them.
Yeah. Well, you have to let them make mistakes too. Yeah. I mean, parenting is a really tough job, and I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm not even saying that I'm good at it, but I've learned a lot, and there's another book called Raising Men that's kind of about that. And boys are different than girls. We have a different type of play. We like to roughhouse and stuff like that, and test our boundaries. And you have to let that growth happen. You have to let men make mistakes to a certain degree, and then find out, fuck around and find out. And that's a big part of being a person. But in a man's sense, I've always taught my son to establish a set of values and live by them, right? So if you're living out of conduct or out of your code, that's when you start to feel like we were saying before, like, a fraud or not good enough or whatever. But if you say, my core values are honesty, compassion, if you just live with those and don't falter from those, I think you're going to have a pretty good life.
And that's something I don't think men can do. And like, I challenge men, maybe that are listening to this, is sit down with yourself and write out those things. Like, who are you? What are your values?
Yeah.
Like, can you put that on paper?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, tried it, struggle with it. It's constantly changing, constantly learning and growing, but try to dial in what are your core values and live by them, right?
That's so important. Because if you don't think about that, if you don't have any type of awareness about how you're living your life or whatever, like, and you don't want to strive to be better, then you're not going to be. And, I don't think anybody can help you there. It
comes down to like that emotional intelligence, right? That's kind of a cliche word right now going around, but it's true, right? Like,
it's so true.
You got to be aware of your thoughts and who you are as a person and what you believe in, especially the world right now is all over the place, throwing different ideas and thoughts at everybody. And just to stay grounded in who you are, I think
Yeah.
is key as a man.
Yeah, and I think it's different for every person. It's different for every man.
Yeah.
Like, your ideas might not be the same as mine. Your values might not be the same as mine. But I can look at you and say, oh, he's standing on his business. He's standing on business, right?
Yeah.
He's standing on his beliefs, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a man.
If we could sit here and have a great conversation and a great talk about life and hardship, and, you know, like we do, like we're doing right now. Like,
Yeah. I mean, we're not that different. You and I aren't that different.
No,
but like, if you were, or we were,
and
you'd
that's
still be able to just be like, recognize that, okay, he's standing for what he believes in, and that's respectable.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But that's kind of hard to do, I think, for a lot of people. Because they don't have that awareness to, or a reason to, you know,
even
go introspective.
Just sit down for an hour with yourself. Like,
Yeah.
we live this fast-paced life of go, and if you got kids, it's even busier and worse. And
I think it's more important though if you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, you can't be fucking around. You gotta lead by example, and you know, to be a leader in any capacity, you have to be confident in yourself and know your flaws and be okay with them, or be trying to work on them. Maybe not necessarily. You just know your flaws, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and you operate from that. If you don't know your strengths and weaknesses, or you don't have your values or things that you're trying to work on, you're going to be wishy-washy. You're not going to be able to make a solid decision, you know, because you don't have any solid ground to stand on, so to speak. So it doesn't, nothing really matters, right? So I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important.
So how do we fix it? I mean,
how do you fix it?
I mean,
Well, so I actually
as far as the big picture, right?
Well, it's an individual level.
Right.
I don't think.
Well, we just kind of went through individual levels.
Yeah,
so yeah, that is.
I think we need more leaders in positions that are talking about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to see psychology become a big thing in the culture, right? And people are psychologically bypassing or spiritually bypassing things. A lot of narcissists will use psychological terms to try to, you know, it's called dark psychology, try to manipulate people. But really what I got from it, I love psychology, I love spirituality, I love all that stuff. And what I use it for is to make myself a better person, you know, and understand people, so that we can come together. Like, I consider myself to be compassionate and empathetic. And that's not to necessarily want to help everybody, which I kind of do, but to at least understand them.
Yeah.
Right. So we need leaders that are like that.
Well, empathy is one of the best leadership qualities, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you just don't see that. And I feel like people that are in the public eye, or people that have some sort of power, need to make that a focal point. And not just for men, for women too, for all of us. But certainly, if you're talking about big picture, how do we solve that? I think that's one of the biggest things. We need strong leaders that are talking about this stuff.
Yep.
You know, now it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. That's great.
Yeah, you see all those videos going around of, I forget how many men it is an hour.
It's over one a minute. I just posted it.
Did you?
Yeah. It's crazy how many people, and
you know, like, I mean, we've all had our struggles, right? But just sitting here, like, talking, it's amazing how much it helps. Like we've been saying, and there's so many men out there just hold it in.
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
And we need more people out there that are saying it's okay to talk. I mean, I've got this little podcast and we're talking about it. And I hope everybody that's listening is going to do something about it. But, you know.
Speaking of which, can they still hear you? Is your mic on?
Is it?
I can't see it. Oh, yeah. We're good.
We're good. We're still live. Yeah, man. Expectations on us are really high sometimes, I feel like, because, and not just self-expectations, like we talked about that, right? Like, we want to have these set of values, and we want to do the best we can, and when we fail, super hard on ourselves, right? But there's also a lot of stuff out there on social media and just in the culture about what we should do. Now, I'm a person that hates being told what to do in general. beating my own drum. That's why I started my own business.
Yep.
Like I don't like being told
I hear you.
what to do. But there's high expectations, like a lot of the stuff that you see, unfortunately, is like the man needs to make X amount of dollars, or he's got to be 6 feet tall, and he's got to be, this and that, and he's whatever. And that's like in the culture. You got to drive a nice car. You have to have a good job. You have to do this and that. And I think that comes from a place of women want a man that takes care of himself, and your value is based on money and health. So the more money you make, the more healthy you are, the more value you have. Where that's a little skewed, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that everybody has a value that they offer.
I think behind that mask is they just want to feel safe.
Right.
They want to.
Yeah. Well, people just get so indoctrinated into this culture of like, this is what it has to be.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, there's, I guess, some women out there that are going to be that way. But I think, the majority of good women they're just looking for that feeling of safety, and that you're going to stay even when it gets hard, because life's hard.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful with that too.
Yeah.
Because you can stay.
Yeah.
And get burned.
Yeah. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
And I think it's something that I guess that I'm learning is you got to know how to love yourself first, mm-hmm. and like see those signs.
Yeah. Because we'll give so much to somebody that's not giving it back. Yeah. Just because we want to feel loved.
I know.
You're willing to overlook like tons of bad qualities and stuff.
Men are so loyal. Really. Yeah. At least I am.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm loyal to a fault sometimes. It's a great quality, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it'll catch up to you, and people will burn you.
That's in any kind of relationship, really. So it's being
that's business, that's relationships, that's everything. And it's
at the end of the day, we just want to work hard and support our families and friends and whatever. And then, so we're willing to sacrifice ourselves. That's another part of that book too, is like boys and men are taught to sacrifice themselves for the greater good or for the family. I mean, look at military has always been about men and boys putting your body on the line for God and country or whatever it may be. Even games like football, right? How do you get the girl? Well, you be the star cheerleader, you score a touchdown. What are you doing when you do that? You're putting your body at risk for CTE, for broken bones and everything. So you're out there. And so we're taught that our worth is based on our physical bodies being sacrificed, and that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be that way, and I don't think it is all the way. I mean, there's definitely a subculture, but, we're worth more than just, what our bodies and minds can do. Like we're actual human beings that need some love too. We're not just all about sacrifice. So,
and I guess we could get into that relationship or that women, right? Yeah. The book Wild at Heart, it talks about chasing the beauty is what he calls it. Every man, longs for that.
Yeah.
To secure their beauty.
Yeah.
And shoot, I lost my train of thought. I guess in that process is there's so much strength you can get from that, I think the saying is like every king needs his queen, right? And there's so much strength, but you got to pick the right one.
Yeah, and what I was talking about with sacrifices in terms of relationships is like we don't see, like we're willing to overlook bad qualities or not necessarily bad, but just qualities that don't align to secure that relationship. And so knowing that we shouldn't, we'll say, okay, I'll put up with that.
Don't listen to that gut feeling.
Yeah, I'll put up with that thing that looks a little sketchy. Or
is that a red flag?
Yeah. We're like, oh, it doesn't matter because, the sex is good or whatever.
Yeah, do you think men get themselves into situations they can't get out of?
Sure.
And they live with it.
Oh, yeah,
live
certainly.
with it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. How many people do you know that, like, I know this is kind of a stereotype, but like come out of the service and like the first girl they meet, they put a ring on it and now they're with them for the rest of their lives. It's a terrible relationship, and they just put up with this long toxic relationship because, I made this decision. I'm never getting out of it. But that's not good. Like, every relationship is going to have its hardships and no two people are the same.
Yeah. And nobody's perfect.
Nobody's
right?
perfect. But you shouldn't sacrifice the things that you inherently need from a partner just to maintain a relationship. Like, I know I kind of struggle with that. I was in a relationship that, there's a couple things that didn't really feel right, but I kind of just let it go because I really liked her and everything else was great, but I wasn't getting the things that I really needed. And it was hard for me to express them. And so, it just built and built and built, and then it ended.
It's almost like you're in love with their good qualities and the potential of where you could go.
Right.
Not them and where you're at in that moment.
Which is where it needs to be.
Which is what you deserve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the hard part.
It's definitely hard. Yeah. I don't know.
And it's hard for me because, like, you see it and you love them and you can know how good you can be.
Yeah.
Why can't you get there?
Yeah, you can't change anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to, like we were talking about, standing on your values.
Yep.
Right? So if there's a situation where something happens and you don't like what they did or what they said, speak up for yourself.
You need to set that boundary.
You got to set boundaries and say, like, I don't like when you did that. And
they might go, okay, I'm sorry. Let me reel that in and
sure.
Be appreciative of you and want to build and work with you. Or you might get pushed back and then you'll start seeing that, hey, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. And that comes on both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's hard. It's been hard for me to be able to vocalize those things and act on them.
In the moment. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I think, this is kind of a men's talk. As men, that is the biggest, most important decision we will make in our lives. Is
find the right
who you choose to spend the rest of it with.
Yeah.
Pedro Julian, he's all over social media. He wrote Man Up. I don't know if you read his book, but he preaches that.
Yeah.
He's got a couple podcasts just all about that. Like, who you choose is so important for the outcome of your life. You don't get to choose your family. If you have kids, you really don't get to choose them. You get to raise them.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to choose. That's the one thing you get to choose.
Yeah.
In your life. And it's the biggest,
make it a good choice.
Biggest decision.
Well, I think too, when it comes to that, you should probably sit down and think of some values that you want from somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And put some thought into it before you just go out and then, who's the hottest girl at the bar that I think I can pull,
right.
And then try to make her your wife. Like, it's
kind of like I was saying that I've done for myself. You sit down, like we were talking about, and list out all your morals, all your beliefs. Well, on the next page, list out, what are you looking for in a woman?
Yeah.
What characteristics do you want her to have?
So I'm not super religious in any one faith, but I meditated or prayed on to bring me a woman on certain qualities that I was looking for for quite a while, and it was brought to me, and I found her, and we had a little bit of a relationship, and it worked for a while, but there's some things that just didn't work out. But I think because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction and manifestation, if you think about what you want and you look around for it, you will find it.
Yeah.
You will find it. It will come for you one day. And I know it can be really hard to be lonely, but you don't want to choose out of loneliness. Yeah. You don't want to make decisions, just like you don't want to make decisions out of anger. You don't want to make decisions out of loneliness. Like, You have to be okay with yourself,
And that's where you got to get to that point of loving yourself first, and then everything else, you pray about it, you find your faith.
Yeah.
You know, God will put the right person in your life.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like hardship, like you said, like I've been deepening my faith and praying more lately and just trying to build that relationship up of, okay, something's at work here, right? Like I'm going through this for a reason. Let's dig deeper. And
and every relationship you learn
something new.
Yeah. What not to do, or mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
You know, or not, what you can't tolerate, boundaries that you need to set. So it gets better. It gets a little better every time.
I just brought up something I wanted to bring up is like, to kind of bring this whole conversation full circle, right? Is like, you dive into yourself, you start working hard, you work out, you stop drinking, you 1% better every day. You start journaling and writing all these things down. You deepen your faith, you find the girl, and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
That one hits hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like,
it's like, what for? What do I do all this shit for?
It's like, I just did all of this, you know, it's years worth of work. You know, you build yourself up, and that's where I'm really deepening my faith of, okay, like I just said, there's a bigger picture.
Yeah, it's not just for the girl.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't do all that for the girl. You did it so you would be better. And then you got what you thought was a good one. But you shouldn't say, throw all that away. That didn't work.
No, and that's not my mindset, right? But it weighs on you a little bit, especially at first. Sure. It's like,
it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's been at the top of my mind. This last relationship has been at the top of my mind for a long time, when I know that I've got other shit that I need to focus on. It's just, you can't shake it sometimes. And I think over time it slowly fades away as you start, just rebuilding, focusing on yourself, educating yourself, and doing the work. You get over it and you're better from it. But these tests and challenges never seem to stop coming. And
no, they do not.
I think, before you get ready to throw in the towel, you need to just decide if you just got to decide to keep pushing. I think, like, I was almost ready to throw in the towel for the first time in my life, and I never had thought about that ever. And I'm glad I didn't. And
I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah. But it's just like, it feels so overwhelming sometimes. Like you said, like, you're doing everything right, you're trying your hardest, and you still just get beat over the head and it just doesn't work out. So what the fuck, man? What are you going to do? You just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Keep pushing, because it will get better.
Don't give in to those vices.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's trimming the fat. It's all the things we talked about, like just trying to build yourself back up and then face another challenge. Relationships are challenges.
Yeah.
They are. Like, you have to, Bruce Lee has this thing, he calls it sparring, whether it's a romantic relationship or not. But, you develop your skills in the gym as a fighter, and you learn techniques and whatever, but it's nothing without another person to spar with. So we develop these habits and good, virtuous ways of being, behaviors and things. And we think we're all good. And then we have somebody step in, a partner, and it challenges those things.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's hard,
and that's healthy too, right? It's
you
just
have
to be
have
challenged.
It, yeah.
Like, that's what you want. You want someone you want to grow with.
Mm-hmm.
I think, don't be afraid of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the hard part. Like, right now, I'm just in a state of healing, and I don't want to, like, I'm not looking for anything right now. But then putting yourself back out there,
you got to start over.
You got to start all the way over.
That's
one of the fears that I have in initial, like, let's say the first month into a relationship, is like, do I get attached to this or not?
So what I'm learning and reflecting on is, you got to have those hard conversations up front.
Right off the bat.
I think.
Yeah.
And if someone's willing to meet you there that early.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, is this something now all of a sudden? Because we're having some pretty difficult conversations and I've known this person a month.
Yeah.
Like, can we have these up front instead of getting 10 months down the line
Yeah.
and then you're heartbroken and you're going through
Yeah.
the same cycle again? Like you
It
almost
could've
have
just
to
been-
you almost have to protect yourself by that. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm learning
Yeah. Set those boundaries
through,
early.
through my situation right now is,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying, you know, I don't regret it, you know.
Yeah.
It's a learning
Well, you put
experience.
yourself out
and
there, and
You
that-
have to put yourself out
That
there.
is really hard to do.
Yeah.
And you know, it is a growth thing, but there's a lot of grit in that, you know, of even just putting yourself out there, especially after a loss, you know, because you're like, you're just so standoffish. But to give your heart out again, I think takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that I'm not there yet right now.
Me
you know,
neither.
yeah. So it takes a while, but when you're ready, you come at it with fresh eyes and have those tough conversations up front. That is hard to do, like, because you don't really know a person that well. You can
Yeah.
have all those conversations and set a good foundation, but then your behaviors over time are what's really going to determine what happens.
Yeah.
And I learned that on my end, not being the best, my highest self, my best self, and having to recover from that, which I did, because I know there's good in me and I know I can be a good partner. But yeah, it's like you set that solid foundation and then you get through the relationship and you're tested as you go. And you know, those foundational things that you talked about are going to get tested later. And it's like, okay, you said you weren't going to do that. Now's the time. We're going to see, you know, and hopefully they were telling the truth.
Stand firm in it, and
Yeah.
maybe she will, you know, realize she was in the wrong and fall back into you for your strength, right?
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
that polarity comes in, which
Yeah.
is it's challenging, difficult. It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's something I don't think people think about in a relationship a lot is how their energies are
Yeah.
working together, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know there's people out there. I even saw somebody that was talking about like one of their relationships or something, and then somebody posted, it was like, oh, that's toxic. And she's like, well, I kind of like toxic. I'm like, what? Okay. Like, I don't want that at all. I want like open, honest communication. I want like, you know, say like what I want from this right away. And I want to hear what you want from that right away. And I don't want any toxic bullshit.
Yeah. And be okay with walking away from it, right?
Yes. Well, that's the thing that I was talking about before is like getting into a new one after an old one and say like, okay, if I'm going to attach myself to you, there's still a tiny piece of me that's like, I have to be okay with this not working out. And the further you get into it, the harder it is to get out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you want to be able to dedicate your whole self to that person. But what if it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get crushed. And
Then
you've been crushed before. You don't want to fucking feel that again.
And you get your heart broken. And
Yeah.
it sucks, man.
It sucks.
It sucks.
And then you have to rebuild
It's
and
like-
do like pushing the boulder uphill.
It's like, yeah, heartbreak. It's heavy.
It's really heavy. That's like a one of the big parts of, you know, my recent downfall, we'll say.
Yeah.
Heartbreak. But you know, you gotta keep pushing forward. Like I said, I think it passes over time. And you just got to work on yourself and try to be ready for the next one. It's like a fight.
Yeah.
You lose a fight, get up and dust yourself off and try again.
Yep.
And I think
It's a good analogy.
yeah, it's like that. And I don't know, I think that's a big part about being a human, but as a man, you know, you have to stay strong. You can have your downtime. You can validate your feelings and emotions and everything, but then you got to pick yourself up and get back on the horse. I think that's everybody, really. I don't think that's a male or female thing. I think, you know.
Yep.
But All right, it's been
So
a little while,
how long has it been?
like an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's good. Is there
I
anything else you want
guess
to talk about? We can keep going if you want.
on a closing note, I guess.
Yeah.
Being men's, or kind of that's the topic, right? Men's mental health awareness. What's like your elevator speech of helping someone? Like if you could tell them one thing, or what's
I would
if
say
you see someone that's down and you're just in a passing and you only got a minute to try to pick them back up, what do you say to them?
I would say remember who you are. I would say don't get lost in your identities that you have. Uh, you know, what you do for work, who, all the labels that are put on you.
Mm-hmm.
Those don't really mean anything. If you lose those, if you lose that job, if you lose that relationship, if you lose who you thought you were, that's not really you. You are in this life for a reason. You are powerful. You are strong. You are more than what people perceive of you. You can be whoever you want to be, and you can constantly recreate yourself. It's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
So remember who you are and what your power is, and move with that.
Yeah, that's kind of my same thing. Is no one's coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
You have the power and the strength inside you to save yourself.
Yeah.
And the minute you can accept that, like it can be life changing. You know, there's so many things out there that you can do to just change your life. All you gotta do is just do them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I tell myself. Sometimes I get going and just do it. You know,
Yeah, just do it.
I just say it out loud. Just go do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing for me. Like even just little stuff, right? Like doing the dishes or making your bed or whatever. Little things like that where you get home from a long day of work and you're like, damn, I don't want to have to clean
Yeah,
my
like
house.
you walk away and it's like, nope, I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah, right. Like I'm just gonna
you
leave
catch
that. I'm
yourself.
just gonna leave that there. No,
Yep.
do it now.
Yep.
Just do it. And like that that one Navy SEAL, I think it was. It says like make your bed.
Every day, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first thing you do is make your bed.
Captain McCraven speech or whatever.
Yeah. Doing stuff like that for yourself. One little thing, cannonball effect or snowball effect.
Yep.
You know, and if that's all you have that day, then just give it your best. Give it whatever your 100% is for that day. Give it. It might not be the same as it was yesterday or last month or last year, but it is what it is today, and you got to make the best of it and do what you can. You do have that power to make the change, and it just starts with one little thing that you can do to make yourself proud of yourself, and keep going forward and focus on self-care. Like do the things that you need to do to get through this. Fuck everybody else. It's on you. If you need to take time off work, if you need to, tell family that you're going through it and you're not going to be around for a little bit, tell the boys at your club that, I need a little time, space, whatever it is, to take care of yourself, do that. It's important.
Yeah, that's really well said.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I can say it better myself.
All right. Well, we'll end on that, man. Thank you so much for talking.
Appreciate you.
I'm going to try to keep that men's group going. And if it does, well, when it continues, I will let you know. And I will put some stuff up on social media too to try to get more guys involved. Just have conversations like this.
Yeah.
And everybody's input is super unique and valuable. And I learned a lot of stuff off just the two guys that were there last time. So definitely keep that going.
Got to build that tribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be the lone wolf.
Don't be the lone wolf. All right, guys. Stay happy, stay healthy, my friends. Peace.